Hey guys, you're listening to Vol. Let's talk about another game of Infinity. So this is for the Strikezone Wotan campaign, and agreed to play one of the custom missions for the campaign, and that was Kill Cage. So my opponent wanted to give it a go. I had a little bit of read of it. I probably should have designed my list differently or complained about the mission before I agreed to do this because I wasn't too happy about this mission. So Kill Cage, let's have a look. It is a mission that features an armory room in the center, so one of those objective rooms. And if you have it controlled at the end of the game, you get 3 objective points. Reason I don't like that is that if you have to go first, it means putting your models into the armory at the end of the game and leaving them there, and you're opening the doors as well, so you're the one having to do that, and your opponent can use the final turn, the active turn, to just move in there and kill whatever models are needed. You can also just move one expensive model in that's quite powerful and tough and kill enough models that you have a higher points value there, or a specialist there, or not a specialist there. I should point out that one thing that they did make a bit different is that you need to have the only specialist in the room. So it's not about points per se. It's about if you have 2 specialists and I have 1 specialist that comes in and kills both of them, then I win it. But if we've both got a specialist there, there's no points counted for the armory. Also noted that you can't leave your specialist to mark a state. Still, having said that, it's not that hard to move in with direct template weapons or what have you, discover them, use a sensor, and just simply eliminate the specialist and put one of your specialists in at the end of the game. So I don't love controlling armories at the end of the game. The next one says threaten the enemy panoply at the end of the game, which means you have to leave one of your models within a zone of control of the enemy panoply. And if we look at the map, here it is here, so I'll just get my face out of the way. So there's 2 panoplies on either side of the table, right? And you're going for the one on the left. So you're going for the one on the right because that's their one. Your one is on your left. So again, if you have the second turn, that is easier because if someone is dominating or threatening your panoply, you just shoot them because they've left them out in the middle of the board for you to shoot. And then you simply walk over there with one of your guys, throw a smoke grenade template down or what have you, or kill anything that's providing an arrow. Simple as that. So again, that's a point that's very easy to get. Where are we? Threaten the enemy lieutenant at the end of the game. Well, that's not going to come up very much because the lieutenant's usually hiding somewhere in the corner. It's quite hard to get a model over there. But again, if you have first turn, you leave a guy next to their lieutenant, and their lieutenant can either move away so that it's not threatened, or they can just shoot the model that's threatening it. And there's no retaliatory turn. So if you're going second, you can do a number of things. You can just run a guy over there, you can bring a drop trooper down, or whatever you want. Have a mark estate guy stealth his way across there and then reveal himself and threaten the enemy lieutenant that way. So again, second turn win. And then lastly, kill more enemy specialist troopers. That is something you can achieve if you're playing first. And also your specialists have to be used in the armory, and kill more enemy points. That's 1 classified worth 1. So I hate that. If you move your specialist into the armory because you need a specialist to get the 3 points, your opponent can kill the specialist and just get 2 points. So this is just really makes sense to take second turn. And on top of that, there are these security drones remotes around the room that just shoot everywhere. But the thing is, if you're going first, you can't achieve anything till you've shot them, and spending all of your orders to shoot the remotes means that you're not crippling the enemy order pool, and that's pretty much the only way you have a hope of winning later. So it is pretty stupid. Note that you can put smoke templates down on the remotes and then move out and do some things, and then the smoke goes away and your opponent has to deal with them. Also, you may hack them, for example. So that's one way of doing it, but it's still a really silly mission because if you do not have second turn, you're at a big disadvantage. So played a game on this. I didn't win the lieutenant role, and my opponent picked second turn, as you should. So let's go through the game. Here's a look at the table. We're using my game map, but we're using mostly his terrain. This is a look from my deployment zone here. So where we've got it, I'll just get out the blue pen, and I've got my lieutenant here in the building, Nexus Hacker, protected by a Necrodron, and there's a Dacheratze right over here. At the back there's a Unidron behind some boxes. We've got the R drone, we've got the slave drone attached to this Dr. Worm. There's a R drone here. That's the Q drone, R drone, and there's a Mark Rep tracker. Also got a Krakot Renegade out here, a couple of iMetrons which deploy automatically because of the scenario rules next to my HVT, and then another Strikezone, a couple of Predators here, Noctifier with Spitfire over there. At this point there's a shrouded Fort Observer here and a shrouded hacker here. But notice, guys, that there are the security remotes. Let's get out the red pen. So the security remotes are around the corner. We've just used Pano remotes to represent them, and of course there's one inside the room as well. Wow, so I have to go first. I have to basically shoot the drones and not really kill any of his models, and then he can just sort of wait until the last turn is the right strategy there. Just looking through it, you can see a bit of a better picture of my setup here. Prone Lieutenant protected by Strikezone and Datrat, so for people coming inside the room, and the rest of the troops down here. Bit of a better view of the back line. You can see the Krakot. That's not a Krakot, that's a Datrat, so the Krakot is actually prone underneath this, the wing of this plane, the rotor, I should say. My classified is telemetry. Going to try and forward observe them. Left hand side here. The reason I've put the Datrat side at this point is just so that he'll impetuous over to here and then throw a smoke grenade there, allowing me to move the Mark Rep around and actually shoot this drone and this drone and this drone, and then perhaps later bomb the room with some smoke so I can move in there without having to kill the sentry, if that makes sense. So here's a bit of a view of what he's got. Okay, so his lieutenant is the Xian warrior with HMG at the top of the building. He's got a Shaolin monk. He's got a Zuyong breaker rifle, Fort Observer of some kind. Guangxi, that's his HVT there. Another Shaolin back over here. Towards the middle, Celestial Guard, control device, Panzerfaust Wu Ming, Shaolin monk. On the left-hand side, there's a Zuyong with a boarding shotgun and what do you call those things? A deflector. You can see the side of the room here. He's also got this camo marker, which turns out to be a Guilang later on. This one, which turns out to be a Dao Fei. And there's something in this room. We don't really know what's in that room. I don't think he actually revealed that during our game. And another Guangxi here. Okay. So I'm going first. What happens is the Datrat attempts to put the smoker down there with his impetuous move, but fails. Rolls above a 17, unluckily, so not a great start. What we do instead is we move out the Noctifier to take out the drone. The Noctifier with surprise shot and 20-inch range and cover is the safest way to remove the drone because it reduces its chance to hit to zero. It can't actually shoot back. So that's what that happens there, and moves out to take out the other one. So in this photo, just moving around, taking out the drone further in the distance, so that is successful, and then moves back into cover. What we're able to do here is for the Datrat to move around after the Shrouded has actually taken out, has actually opened the doors, so the doors are opened as a resolution of the end of the order, so the drone can't shoot me, and then we put some smoke here, so that the Shrouded can move in and put mines through the room, and the Datrat can move in behind him. We are leaving this drone alive and the drone on his side over here because I can't get to it and it's not going to disrupt my movement. So here comes the smoke grenade. It is successful this time, so that's around about where the smoke is landed. And then in the room we're using these white markers. Notice there's 3 of them here, guys. So we've got this one here and this one here. He just comes outside of the door, then comes back to place it down, and of course this one here. Just a trick is with mines is to spread them out so that it makes it harder for him to just move a cheap Guangxi into range and have them detonate and for them all to be cleared. So to have them on different sides of the wall and further back means that you know, they'll go off one at a time, hopefully, or at least cause some awkward movement for him is the plan. And of course Shrouder going back into camo mode after this has been completed. We also have a Predator which has moved into the room as well. The Predator being there is quite cool because he's able to engage, discover, shoot the chain rifle. He's got dogged, so just means that it should take longer for my opponent to sort of clear this room and hopefully cost him a bit more. Alright, so now on to Yujing turn. Guangxi just moving forward as you'd expect them to. We also have a Shaolin monk over here, able to put down a smoke template here, just so that the Xian warrior can actually shoot over at the drone. So that's what's being achieved here. Just getting rid of that sentry. Okay, and elsewhere there's also a Guangxi moving out, but I've just got to point out that this is impetuous movement, and the drone on his side of the table is able to actually see through that gap underneath the stairs. And when he eventually comes out here, I've got a crackot and suppression fire with the submachine gun able to shoot through here, and I believe this does actually end up eliminating the Guangxi, although he does have another one back there. This is a picture which we're showing, which actually allows you to see the line of sight from the sentry in the room through this door, underneath these stairs, and at the Guangxi we just took a photo of up at that point there. Now, okay, so this guy, the Panzerfaust guy, moving into the room so he can set up. There's a bit of a window behind the side of this Micro Art Studio building here, so he's able to set up in the room. That's what's happening there. Then the Xian warrior, of course, has stood up. He's taken out this drone before the photo was taken. Hang on, I've just got to select my actual video capture device. Here we go. Before the photo was taken, there was a drone there, so he's managed to remove the sentry. So here's an interesting one. When the Guangxi moved past, he moved into line of sight of a Dachiratsu who is behind this wall. So the Dachiratsu throws a smoke grenade template with the center of it around about here, so that the actual template is picking up the Predator as well, and the Predator's prone. So that will make it harder for somebody to just come and kill it. Now, I didn't realize my opponent had actually taken the rather unpopular Guilang boarding shotgun profile, which is amazing. So he's just ducking in through here and shooting his boarding shotgun at the sentry remote, which causes an impact template to go through the smoke and hit the Predator, which is really cool. Having said that, though, the saturation zone does reduce his burst to 1, so he only gets 1 shot off. My opponent pointed out that if the sentry remote reacts, the mines explode because it's counted as an enemy trooper from the perspective of the mines, and they are detonated when there's an ARO within their area of effect. We were also playing it, we both agreed before the game that the player who's in the reactive turn gets to control what the remotes do. So I was allowed to say here that the remote will not ARO against the Guilang, and the Guilang can just take a free shot. So the first shot hits the remote, hits the Predator, Predator passes the armor save, so does the remote. Second attempt comes in and kills the remote, but the Predator again passes the armor save, so very, very tough Predator. But the mines do not go off. They're waiting for the Guilang to actually come through, and he's not actually having to come far enough around to actually get to the mines. So that is what's happening there. We do end up with the sentry being destroyed, though, and you can see a bit of a better picture of where the Dachiratsu actually was at the start of that order. Okay, so now we've got the Wu Ming with boarding shotgun and deflector moving up this staircase, and he's going to come along here and into this room here because he's going to try and kill my lieutenant. That is the plan for this chap. So as you can see here, he's moving through. He's planning on coming down through the corridor, around the corner, and getting to my Nexus lieutenant, which is in suppression fire. But the problem with that is that the Strikezone is going to flash pulse him once he gets to there, and the Dachiratsu is either going to try and engage or chain rifle once it gets to there. But as soon as it gets to this point here, there is a shrouded assault hacking device which can actually get in range to hack him. And if he hasn't taken out the Strikezone in time, the Strikezone acts as a repeater as well. So as he moves forward, just take this out of the way here. So as he moves forward, I hack him with both the Nexus and the Shrouded. Now he has got a deflector, so it does reduce the chances of me getting him, but I managed to roll correctly and very luckily and immobilized him and isolated him, and the Strikezone still passed the armor save, so extremely unlucky here for the Wu Ming. To be fair though, do we really think he would have made it all the way to the lieutenant? I don't think he would have, because if he's ignoring the hacking and just walking forward, the hacking might have 2 or 3 attempts to get him, and to get past the Dachiratsu, he's actually got to kill this guy without being engaged or without taking too much damage to the chain rifle. So yeah, it either would have taken all of his orders, or he would have got there and it would have been a waste of orders because he would have been hacked or killed. We've even got the Nexus and suppression fire as well, so once he gets around the corner, he's got suppression fire coming at him too. So I think it was a bit of a risky move there from the Wu Ming, all things considered, or the Zhu Yong, I should say. Wu Ming. It was a Wu Ming, wasn't it? I can't remember whether it was a Wu Ming or Zhu Yong. So this is where he finally gets to before he's isolated. You can see the shrouded down the bottom here. Okay, so he's been isolated. He's been immobilized with the gotcha as well as the oblivion. Elsewhere, we have a Shaolin being, not a Shaolin, a Wooming, not a Wooming, a Zan, Guangxi. Struggle to get the names. Note that there is actually an HVT here. The Predator's in front, and the Imetrons are just squashed into the back. So he can't really chain rifle them because then he's going to hit the HVT. Although, to be fair, he could position his chain rifle so that it just clips past here and gets the Predator and the Imetron, which is what I thought he'd do. But moves forward. He's having to deal with the Krakot and suppression fire with the submachine gun as well, with shock very handily. So he comes in here, and my opponent decides to have a go with the pistol. I didn't think that was the right move. I think he should have just tried to clean up at least one Imetron with the chain rifle, or at least kill this guy with the chain rifle after he suppressions. But went with the pistol and gets destroyed. In the process of him getting destroyed, the Predator actually hits the engage button and successfully engages him. The Krakot doesn't actually destroy him, so I take that back. Actually, completely missed with the Krakot. The pistol missed as well, so we end up with a situation where the Predator is engaging the Guangxi. Okay, so let's just take a zoom out now. We've got the Xian warrior who does get involved in a coordinator in order to stand down. Quite importantly, the Guilong has placed a mine next to the door so that once the Predator leaves the room, it's going to hit that mine. So that's where we've ended up, and of course we've got the close combat raging up there, and we've got an isolated heavy infantry at that point in the battlefield too. Okay, so moving around here, this is the first impetuous move. The Dachiratsu moves this way because there's actually a Guangxi over here in the corner fighting against the Predator, and you can now see where the other Predator is. It's able to move across here because the closest target is the Guilong behind this door. We've got a shrouded here still as well, untouched. So over on the other side, we've got the Dachiratsu coming out of the room, and of course gets into combat. The first attack in close combat doesn't actually destroy our friend here, unfortunately, so we're gonna have to spend an order on him, taking him out. And now the more important one, the Predator, moves around here, and the interesting thing is that even though the camo marker, the Guilong here, is in a marker state, once the mine explodes, the mine does become a legitimate target for the chain rifle, so the Predator can actually put the chain rifle here, forcing the Guilong to dodge anyway, which is quite fun. So what happens here is the mine does blow the Predator up successfully, and the Guilong does manage to dodge the chain rifle, so no harm befell him after that. So there you go. Right, but it does reveal the Guilong, which makes it easier for the Dachiratsu to come and do the business. So Dachiratsu come around the corner, laying down the smoke grenade. Note that there is a guy with a Panzerfaust here who decides not to waste his ammo, just uses the light shotgun, misses. But because there's a smoke grenade template now, there's a mark rep on this side of the table which can fire through this gap with his HMG. So that's something we're going to be doing very shortly. Before that happens though, Dachiratsu moves into close combat, martial arts level 4 against the Guilong. The Guilong rolls a 14, which is a critical hit. So although my opponent's been having some bad luck so far with not killing the Predators, not surviving the hacking jobs on him, going badly for him, this does turn it around a little bit with the Guilong able to crit the Dachiratsu in close combat. As promised, the mark rep now moves out, and you can see where the Wooming's situated. There's a building, you can see the windows there, and there's a smoke grenade on the ground here, so mark rep able to easily shoot through, and again, getting a bit lucky, getting 2 wounds through successfully, failing both the armor saves, and does manage to render him unconscious, so very lucky shooting from the mark rep. At this combat here, the Krakot has to move away, because if the Predator destroys the Guangxi in close combat, it can explode. It's got an AP close combat weapon, not shock or anything like that. So the Krakot moves back first. The Predator then spends a couple of orders trying to rip this guy up in close combat, and successfully does so. And the explosion, of course, not taking out the Predator, passes the armor save, leaving the Krakot unharmed. If the Predator had died in close combat somehow here, the Krakot then shoots him with the SMG and takes him out, hopefully. So that was what we're planning on doing. Now, the Predator can come all the way across the battlefield to try and finish the job that the Strikezone started. Gets into close combat, doesn't completely finish off the Guilung, unfortunately, but at least we've got a Predator situated there now, which I'm happy with. Good, okay, so here's a bit of a zoom out. We've got some more mines now. There's a shrouded assault hacking device, puts down a mine here and a mine here. We've still got 3 other mines, 1, 2 and 3 on the side unpictured, so we've got 5 mines protecting the room. Obviously this one's there to protect this door, this one's to protect the guy coming around this side, this one here is to protect through that gap or around this side, and this mine can protect through that door or even this door here, or maybe long range through this door, and of course we've got the other mine protecting that. So it's a bit of a minefield through there. In addition, we have the Q drone with this black bead, this glass thing representing enhanced fire from the Nexus, and the Dr. Worm's slave snake there to help him in case he gets killed. But this is protecting the right-hand side of the room field. We know that there's a camo marker situated through here, so the Q drone hopefully should help to defend that. Now, what have we got? So Shaolin monks. Shaolin monks moving out here and moving out here. This is Yuqing turn 2, and we also have the Xian warrior who's able to shoot at whatever he needs to shoot at, but doesn't particularly want to shoot into close combat, otherwise he'll lose his Guilung, so there is that problem. I should point out that the Shaolin, very good in close combat against the Predator, especially with the help of the Guilung, so this Shaolin should be able to go in there, but he didn't have enough orders in group 2 to move over there, so a little bit order starved this list. Having said that though, a smoke template gets landed, and one of the reasons why it's doing that is that in my last turn I actually used a coordinated order to bring up the Noctifier behind this gap, just to put in an arrow through there. So what he's doing now is he's moving with the Xian to climb down the building, and he's going to come around to this spot to actually shoot at the Noctifier, which is the plan. So here comes the Xian warrior, and if the other picture wasn't too clear, the Noctifier's there. He's able to move around this side of the crate and shoot his bullets through that rough angle through there, if you guys can picture that. Good. Okay, the Noctifier is situated here. He's got a Spitfire. The Xian warrior does shoot him. He tries to dodge. A couple of hits, well, one gets through, and the Noctifier passes the armor save. So I've been extremely lucky with armor saves this game, and is able to guts just behind the wall far enough that he gets out of line of sight. So we are happy. We're happy with that. Guangxi moving into close combat. Now, not too sure if this is the best move. The Predator is close combat 19, and both of these Yuqing units are close combat 14, so although it's 2 dice against 1, it's 14s versus 19s, so all I've really got to do is roll, you know, higher than 10, and it's likely that I'll win the close combat. Gets in there, he does manage to beat me in close combat, but again, passing the armor save on the first one, and then the future attempts that he makes does end up with me actually killing him. So the Predator doing really well here, and armor save's really saving my butt. Here we go here, so the close combat raging Predator manages to fight its way out. Now, this brings us to the final combined army turn. We've got a Krakot with SMG. By the way, metachemistry is +1 armor, which is the most boring one, and bioimmunity. Firing a submachine gun at this Shaolin Impetuous, who doesn't get cover and gets killed by these SMG. Then Krakot's going to move over this way and try and shoot at this Shaolin over here and take that one out as well. The mine has been discovered by the Xian warrior. So coordinated orders now, the Krakot and the Noctifier moving around with the Spitfire, able to just keep going until we've killed the Shaolin monk. Noctifier coming into the room down here. We do have a Guilung left alive, but the Krakot should be able to deal with that. Krakot come around the corner and blasting him with the SMG. Doesn't quite work, so he does move into close combat with the Berserk. Bit of a sneeze. Alright, our assault hacking Shrouded also moves into the room, because we need to have as many specialists in the room as possible. So the Noctifier's in there to help protect it as well. So we've got the Shrouded. The important thing about the Shrouded is if the Shrouded position's here, and we know there's a Xian warrior behind the crates at this point here, the zone of control for assault hacking should be able to actually get to the Xian before he moves into the room. So that's what's going on there. Krakot has used up his chest mines to destroy the Guilung, which is now dead. so here's the room situation. We've got the Assault Hacker here, we've got the Shrouded Fort Observer, the Noctifier, and obviously this Crackot won't be able to provide any arrows because he's engaged. Really hate that rule, it's very stupid. And by that rule I mean the whole thing about not being able to choose to leave the combat without spending an order. So we have 6 mines set up at this point, so even more mines. One of them's here, one of them's here, one of them's here. They're all from the Assault Hacker. We've got the 3 here placed by the Fort Observer, and the Mark Rep has actually moved into the room so we can actually shoot through either of the 2 doors, especially since we know there's probably going to be some smoke appearing here. Everybody else going into camo mode though, so we've put as much into the room as we possibly can. Another thing which I've achieved here is to move the Dachuratse down here after disposing of his heavy infantry model there. And he's able to threaten the panoply, because the enemy panoply is here, and this leaves him behind the wall within 8 inches there. Now he does have a couple models in the room, but the thing is if he spends orders coming around here to attack the Dachuratse, he might just lose them, and also that gives him fewer orders to work with for getting the Sien Warrior into the room, which is what he needs to do to win. So my opponent is a little bit boxed in. I've also set up a R drone at the top of this crate here with a flash pulse. The Q drone has moved a bit further forward to be able to shoot through the 2 doors, just through there, and also around this side if he needs to. So just doing as much as possible to prevent my opponent from just moving to the room with the final turn, which is usually quite easy. Next, so we've got the Huangshi control device Celestial Guard firing a smoke grenade launcher, landing the smoke grenade there. It's going to allow the Sien Warrior to move through and actually kill this Mark Rep if he needs to, and kill the Q drone, which is through that gap. So moving out, he does manage to shoot the Q drone, destroying it, and he does manage to shoot the Mark Rep, destroying that as well. So that's 2 orders down. And then what we have also is the Daofei moving around here, gets hit by these 2 mines, but is able to shoot his Spitfire at my lieutenant. The reason the lieutenant stood up here is so that he can get a better view of the battlefield, but my opponent's doing this because he wants to get the 2 extra objective points for killing more specialists, and because he's only lost 1 specialist here, if he kills this guy and one of the specialists, that will mean that he'll have those extra points. But of course you can see the Daofei getting hacked by my Assault Hacker, and also the mines blowing him up as well, so loses the Daofei. There are the 2 mines going off on him. Okay, so Sien Warrior decides to come around the back, and he does this because he wants to stay out of range of the Assault Hacker's zone of control. So this mine here goes off and actually blows up and inflicts a wound. We've got a flash pulse coming in from this direction which doesn't get to him, but he has to do this to be able to get enough orders through. Uses, I think, his nanopulser or something to try and eliminate this Noctifier, but the Noctifier dodges, or at least goes dogged or something like that. So then what's happening is the Sien Warrior is actually going to try and move through around here into the room, and as he does so, what's happening is that this mine goes off on him, this mine goes off on him. We've got a combi rifle shot here, or a carbonite if I wanted to. Combi rifle from this guy and the Spitfire from this guy, and that does destroy the Sien Warrior. Note that the Sien Warrior is not a specialist, so for him to have prevented me from getting the points, he'd actually have to have moved in and killed both my Shroudeds in a single volley. Although it's quite hard to do that because there's a saturation zone reducing him to burst 3. The machine guns minus 3 to hit at close range. He's got to deal with the mines, and he's got to basically not die. He's got to kill both of them. Well, it's okay if he dies, but there's no way that he can actually pick up 3 points from the room because he's not a specialist. So that means that I miraculously managed to win, even though I didn't take second turn. And well, I did a lot of complaining about how hard it is to win by going first, but I think you guys can see how ridiculous it is that even though I was running away with the game and really crushing him up until this point, it's still possible for him to actually pick up points and actually get the win. Let's just look at the kill cage mission again. He doesn't need to control the armory. If he gives that to me, I get 3 points. All he really needs to do is kill more specialists, take the panoply, get us classified. He could win that way. Moving the Sien Warrior into the room is not great because I actually threaten his lieutenant if I don't kill him, giving me 2 more points. But equally, what he could have done is instead of losing the Daofei, he could have actually moved it around in such a way that it threatens my lieutenant. and if he managed to kill more specialists, maybe from inside the room or something like that, he'd end up with 4. So there are just so many ways you can win by going second. You don't have to actually storm the room if you don't need to, and the luxury is that you simply have to look at what points are the easiest to get, what's the highest percentage chance of getting those points, and you only need to get enough to win. So that's why second turn is just really amazing in the scenario, as it is in most ITS missions. Anyway, I'll stop complaining about that now. I did manage to win. I got pretty lucky during that game though, and hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you again on Strikezone Wotan. Don't forget to click the link in the video description and have a look at my written battle rep, and rate, command, do whatever you need to do.